episode 168.
Are you ready to take your eBay business to the next level? Then hold on, because Ron and Ali are going to take you into the fast lane with the latest tips and insights from some of the biggest and most successful sellers here on the So You Want to Sell on eBay podcast.
Welcome once again to another episode of So You Want to Sell on eBay. I'm Ron LeBeau.
And I'm Ali Young.
Hey, everyone. We have with us Jess Oman. Jess, how you doing today?
Hey, I'm doing awesome. How are you?
Sorry, man. Ali just he catches me off guard with it. I'm Ali Young.
Yes, you know? I like to make sure you're awake, Ron, before we start, you know?
Absolutely. Okay. So Jessica and her husband built their eBay side hustle called Storage Warrior into a full-time business, grossing multiple six figures in annual revenue. They're obsessed with keeping cool old things out of the landfills and getting them into the hands of people who will appreciate them and give them a longer life. She's a business expert with an MBA who accidentally became a university professor and now wants to teach you to replace your income with your eBay business.
I'll tell you, a couple of things stood out to me. One was you accidentally became a professor. I don't know how that happens. You just, oh, look, I'm a professor. How did that happen? You know, and
yeah, it's kind of like that.
Yes. Well, I mean, how did that come about?
Oh, well, I mean, I have a fair bit of business experience. I've run a couple of businesses before I started the eBay thing. And I guess just with my educational background and experience, some people heard of me on campus and approached me about doing some part-time teaching there. So I still do that in addition to the eBay side hustle, but it's like, I love it so much. But every April as the semester comes to a close, I'm like, eBay, and I get all excited about getting back to work.
Right. I'm excited about the Storage Warriors. You know, we've got that show, Storage Wars or whatever it is. Yeah. You know, and is that kind of what you guys are doing in you know, without the cameras?
Yeah, I mean, that's how it started. We liked the show. I mean, it was way back in like 2012. We were watching the show and we thought, I wonder if they do that here locally. And turned out they did. And we went to an auction. There were tons of people there. And we bought the last locker of the day. And I kind of looked at my husband like, what did you do? And we were so clueless. We were pulling things out of this big crate and spreading them out all over the floor. And we had no idea what we were doing. But we did find some cool sellable things in there. And the highlight was this big, huge set of Royal Albert Old Country Rose china, very collectible pattern. Big set of it, and we sold that off and made about 5 times our money from that first locker.
Wow.
We were like, hey, this might be a thing. And it just snowballed from there. We kept getting into buying more units. Then we filled up our garage with stuff, and then we didn't have enough space, so we filled up another garage with stuff. Then we moved into a warehouse, and then we were like, okay, this is an actual business. We really need to formalize it. And so we did that in 2016, and here we are.
So before that, did you both have full-time jobs and then just kind of segued into this as a full-time job? How did that work for you?
I've been an entrepreneur since 2010. I quit trying to have a boss a long time ago. And my husband was working sort of as in some piecework employment for a long time too. And so that's why we were both doing this as a side hustle. We just thought it was really fun to sort of rescue old things and learn about them and pass them on. But it just kept growing, and eventually he quit his job and I closed down my consulting company and we just kept at it.
Absolutely amazing. So for people who don't know what storage that stuff is, you know, so how does it work? Is you go along, you bid on it, and then you own that every single thing in that, and it's also your responsibility to clean it, is it?
Exactly. So, you don't know what's in it. You just look at some pictures online. Most of them are online now, but if they're in person, they just open the unit, just like the show, and you get your flashlight and you kind of peek and see what you can see. Can't touch anything. And if you win it, they give you a couple of days usually to empty everything out. And, there's the thrill of the hunt every single time. You just never know what little secret thing is going to be in that box or behind that refrigerator or whatever. It's quite a mystery.
So is it like the show in that you see the same, 5 or 6 groups of people that, you guys kind of know each other and do all that? Is that how it works?
Oh yeah, there's definitely a brat pack, and it's too bad that the auctions are mostly online now. We don't get to see our local group anymore as often, but there's definitely out of 50 people attend an auction, there's maybe 8 people who are serious about buying. So it's always competition between the same people.
Wow.
So you have something that's pretty unique. So you're walking into a situation where, one, you haven't got a clue what's in there, but 2, you don't even know if it's worth anything, how much it's worth, how much you could. I mean, it just must be. I must envision like a coin to like an old chair or something like that. So how do you filter? What's your process to filter through all of that and then work out how much it's worth and put it on eBay?
You look at how things are packed. You look at what type of boxes are being used. Are they using banana boxes from the grocery store, or did they buy nice boxes from the storage facility? If the boxes look really old, that's a good sign. Right? If you see something that looks like Campbell's soup box, looks like it's from the 1970s, it was probably packed then. So there's likely to be something good inside. But I mean, you can only guess to a certain extent. And sometimes we've bought lockers that looked incredible, and we opened it up and it was just boxes of clothes and boxes of food. And you're like, boxes of Christmas. Why do people keep all their Christmas stuff?
Yeah.
And it just goes, but then the other lockers that don't look so good surprise you. We had a funny scenario a few years back where we wanted to buy this unit. And at the front of the unit, there was a big pile of pennies, like someone had a penny jar and it had kind of spilled. And we started bidding on it, and the guys started making fun of us. They're like, "Oh, there's like $5 in pennies at the front of that unit. You can start getting your money back." And I think we paid $300 for it or something. And they all laughed at us and walked away. And it turned out that the pennies were just like the top layer, and underneath it was all quarters and we're in Canada, so loonies and toonies, $1 and $2 coins, and it was like $300 and change right there at the front of the locker before we even touched anything. We made all our money back.
That's pretty incredible.
Amazing.
That's pretty incredible.
That's great.
Yeah, so that's pretty cool because I mean the whole storage wars thing. I mean, like Ali kind of talked about. It's kind of a crazy mix of bag because you're finding everything from art to coins to furniture. You got to be an expert pretty much in at least some field of all fields really, because you don't know what you're going to throw away that might be worth something. How has that developed for you as far as your skills to assess the situation?
Yeah, I mean, we're always learning about new product categories. And as we learn more about what sells well for us, we become more selective about what we buy. And actually, we've moved away from buying a lot of storage auctions now to more consignments and estate sale picking and things like that, because now we have a better sense of what we know we can flip for the most money. And so that's sort of become a little bit more lucrative for us. So we're kind of moving that way. And recently we got a consignment of almost 100,000 die-cast cars, like Hot Wheels and stuff. And we didn't even know. Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. And we didn't know anything about that. And of all the product categories we'd been already researching for years, it was like, okay, here's another one. And so we're constantly figuring that out. And, if somebody drops 5,000 Beatles records on us, which happened as well, then all of a sudden we're researching Beatles records. So
wait. Whoa, slow down. Did you say 5,000 Beatles records?
Well, maybe 3,000. Yeah.
Okay. Anything 1,000. Wow.
That's a lot.
That's incredible.
Yeah. So it's a lot of work. And so with stuff like that, we have a couple of product listers that work for us remotely. And so it's very repetitive work making the listings for those. And we hire them, we do the photography, price it out, and pass it on to them. And so they're just constantly making new listings for us, which is awesome.
Wow. So,
yes.
So then you take the pictures, you send that to them, and they create the descriptions. Do they do the research on the price of how much to sell it at and stuff like that?
I do. We have one person who works locally for us who does that, but our product listers are strictly listers, so they don't do any research. We just give them the information on the product, the photos, and the price, and then they do all of the listing. So it's both, a little bit of both, but we're scaling up right now, so that could change. I don't know.
Yeah.
Next.
And what's really cool is because, when you first start out, you didn't have all these processes in place. You didn't have all these people working for you. One of the things we always like to talk about is, the beginner who's just now starting to sell on eBay. They hear you talk about all these things and it might get overwhelming to them. But it was a process for you guys, right? You built to the point where you couldn't do it anymore, or you chose not to. And you just kind of had to build on those processes, right? I mean, it's not like, you started your eBay business and all of a sudden you hired 5 people and everybody's doing this, right?
Yeah, and we were able to double our revenue every year for the first, I think, 5 years we were operating. And last year was the first year we did not double our revenue. And I think it's because we reached a point where scaling up the business with just the two of us, we couldn't really get beyond where we were. And so last year was when we started hiring people seriously. And we're already seeing, I think our January revenue was up 90% over last January. So we're already seeing the benefits of that, of having people on staff and hiring them. It's a very scary thing to do, to bring those people on, and you're forced to put amazing processes and systems in place, because if you don't, then they're not empowered to do their best work, right? So it's like you have to do all of this stuff, and it's a bit stressful, but we're seeing the benefits really quickly, which is really fun. But yes, it can be quite intimidating at first. If you see somebody making multiple 6 figures, it sounds wonderful. But, there's quite a bit you have to set up, and you have to have an infrastructure to support that.
I bet.
Yeah, no kidding.
You don't just land into 6 figures, definitely.
No, it's work, man.
Absolutely. No, that's really cool because, really it is a building block kind of, that's what's really cool about it. You don't have to open your doors and, have 5 employees automatically. You can build up into it and, give your employees responsibilities as you need to or as you grow. That's awesome. Love it.
Yes, that's what.
So what about
that's where it goes.
What about things like storage then? Because you're dealing from small to big to finding it to where'd I put that push bike? I know it's around here somewhere. I mean, how do you manage all of that sort of stuff?
It's still taking us a while to implement a good inventory management system, but we're getting there. We have a 2,000 square foot warehouse. It's a bit small for our needs, but we're making it work. And basically now everything has a SKU, but we don't have a barcode system. There's definitely OCD people out there who wish we were doing it in a more structured manner. But it's evolving organically as we like things to grow. So we do have a SKU system with bins, and now everything that gets posted has its box and its bin where it's located. So now whoever's in the shop can find things relatively easily. It's not perfect, and we still have a lot of old listings that have been sitting around for 2-3 years that never got skewed, and occasionally we're tossing things through the air trying to find an old piece of inventory that's sold. But yeah, I mean, it's coming along, but you're always working on it. You're always tweaking things and making some process more efficient, something better. You have to.
Yeah, definitely. And then what about imagery then? So let's say you need to take a picture of that coin that you talked about, but then you need to take a picture of a bigger item. How do you... what do you got? A really expensive camera, or can you use just your phone? What's the process for that?
I actually do have a really expensive camera, but I found it in a storage locker.
Nice.
And it took me a long time to figure out how to use it. But we just have a really simple setup. It's just a white table with a sheet, and we just use that. We have couple of big desk lamps that come down on either side, and that works fine for us. I mean, we're not expert photographers. We try to make the background clean and eliminate shadows as best we can, but I wouldn't say we're perfect, and I don't think you need to be. I think you just need to be an honest seller. You need to describe things well. You need to be conscientious, but you don't have to be a professional photographer to make this work.
Well, you just made a lot of eBay sellers very happy with that statement, because there are a lot of people out there that are just beginning that are sitting there going, oh my gosh, I cannot get the absolute perfect picture. Get good pictures. That's all you really need to do. And you have access to 12. Take 12 if you need to, if it's something that can. I mean, obviously a phone, for example, is front and back kind of thing. But if you have the ability to take 12 images, take them, right?
Oh, I mean, we have a friend who sells online. He takes pictures on the hood of his truck.
Nice.
And we're like, dude, just get a photo set up. But he's like, it's working fine for me. Okay.
Yeah. We'll interview him next.
Yeah. How to take pictures. So I know a lot of people struggle. I know what I did when I used to do this. So I have an item here. Let's say that coin. I have no clue what it is. It's a coin. It's metal. It's got a picture of a man's head. I mean, how do I create a description based off something that I don't even know what it is?
So one of the best categories for confusing listings is ephemera, paper. And that's one of my favorite categories to sell in. I love rescuing old paper. You always get this weird stuff. People just basically give it to you because they don't think it's worth anything, but people collect it. And so when you get a, for example, we just sold a political brochure from the birth of a political party here in Canada that started in the 1950s and is now defunct. This booklet was from 1953. You're not going to find anything online that's like that. What do you do?
Definitely.
And so, I mean, I look at it in a couple of ways. One, you can try an auction, but the thing is those very specific items have a specific buyer, and it's unlikely that an auction will serve you very well, but you could try it to just see. But the way I look at it is like, for one, I paid, a half a cent for this thing, maybe less. And if I get $30 for every piece of paper that I sell on eBay, wow, I am a happy person. So you kind of have to look at it like that. Like, you don't always have to be concerned about maxing out and getting your top dollar for everything. Look at your margins. And if you're spending an hour searching up a comp on such a unique and difficult item, you have already wasted too much time. Just put a price on it and wait. And see what happens. And I'll tell you what, that brochure sold in less than 24 hours for my $30. Maybe I should have put it up for 50. I don't know. I don't care. It's gone.
Exactly. It's the I don't care part, because really, you could sit there, and a lot of people do that. They say, oh man, I wish and they beat themselves up for not putting it on there for 50. But you have to, it's like refunds. People want refunds. Just give them the refund, call it good. Don't let it bother you. Don't let it change your, I mean, it's easy for me to say, but it's not, it shouldn't change the way you feel or think. Just keep on pressing on, right? You
have to pull your emotions out of this. And it's the same with any business. It's not just eBay. It's, there are guaranteed to be things that frustrate you. There'll be times where you kick yourself because you didn't sell something for enough, or your silly accident with packaging caused an issue and your buyer's upset about it. These things are going to happen in business. And so, I mean, honestly, I'm not a very patient person. And sometimes when these annoying things happen, I get upset. I'm like, but walking away for 5 minutes and just reframing and coming back and just writing that buyer back and giving them a nice note with an apology and just deal with it is so much better. And you just move on. And I think that's the key, is like every little thing that gets at you, don't obsess, just move on. Yeah, you got to come up with reasons to prove the naysayers wrong, right? So if you let all those negative things, bother you every single day, then the naysayers, the people in your family or your friends that say there's no possible way you can do that, then they're winning. And, it's really, if you think of it like a game, you really have to kind of outdo them. So, don't let that negative stuff bother you. Just press on, learn from it, and just move on. Yep, exactly. The best way.
So word on the street, and because me and Ron, we have words on the street that you're up to something very special soon.
Yeah. So as we've grown our business and scaled it up, and we're just as obsessed and passionate about it as we ever have been, and nice. We're still trying to grow it, and we have lots of cool ideas, but. I've been involved with a lot of Facebook forums and just chatting with other sellers for a long time now. And I realized that there's, especially it seems in this industry, if we're going to call it that, there seems to be this huge gap in entrepreneurship skills and business skills that you need to be able to scale up and find profitability in this type of business. Because you hear a lot of complaints. There's too many sellers on eBay now. So there's too much competition. That's why nothing's selling. I think if nothing's selling for you, there's probably a skill set that you need. There's an attitude or some skills you need to learn to kind of change your mindset around how you're looking at your eBay business and treat it as more of a business. So when I talk about getting your emotions out of it and moving away, that's part of it. It's just like part of the entrepreneurial journey. And so I started to think about that, and I started to asking people like, what do you think you need? And they would talk about things like, I don't really understand sourcing. I don't really understand marketing. I don't really understand cash flow. And I'm like, I do. I have an MBA. I teach business at a university. I can teach people this stuff. And so started coming up with an idea to just run a little pilot course and see if there were people out there who were interested in learning some of these skills. And we're calling it the Hobby Sellers Boot Camp.
Ooh.
Absolutely. And Ali and I are a part of this. We're really, really happy to work with you on this project. It's really exciting to see someone like yourself take your skills and your knowledge and be able to package it up and be able to help others, go from that hobby selling to a real business, right?
And I think there's still so much room, what people say, well, do you want to support your competition? Yeah, I do. I think there's so much room in this industry for people to succeed and have amazing businesses. I don't want to see, 10 million crappy business owners. Let's have like 5 million awesome business owners. Like we can make this happen. So, but right now it's a pilot, right? I've never offered anything like this before. I have done online courses in my other companies in the past, so I know how that works, but this is new. So the course is going to have basically 4 sort of modules. The first one is talking about that mindset shift. So I'm calling it, you're not a thrifter, you're a business owner. So like making that shift between like, oh, I like cool stuff to I'm running a business here.
Right.
And then it's going to go into sort of the simple things you can do, easy wins, like successful things you can do to immediately start adding $300 or $400 a month to your top line revenue. So you're already selling. The idea is you're already selling a little. You want to earn a little more. So the second module talks about that. So you can add $300 a month within a few weeks. And then we'll shift into the business skills that you need to sort of scale up and make it a full-time income. So a lot of people say, I'm afraid to quit my job. I'm afraid to take the leap. That's super scary, right? So you want to make sure that you know stuff and you've got some skills so that when you do finally drop your full-time job, eBay will be able to replace what you were earning before. So it talks about that in module 3. And then the fourth one is about scalability and tracking your progress. So understanding what you actually need to measure to know how well you're doing, because it's so much more than just how much revenue you earned in a month, right? And then sort of getting you to that point where you can say, okay, yeah, I feel like I'm ready to quit my job now. So 4 modules, 4 weeks, 4 live group coaching calls. So people will be able to come on and ask me questions. And the course is not limited to what I've designed or what I'm offering sort of in terms of lesson plans. People can ask anything they want on the live calls, and that's going to help me get some feedback and figure out what people really need to understand about having an eBay business so that we can make this an even bigger, better course in the future.
That's amazing. I mean, that's got so much good stuff in it. And the part that I liked about it is, because we do get asked this a lot, is one that you can actually make money on eBay. eBay can become your job. Me and Ron have interviewed so many people that dream's possible. So to even have that, and to that, leaving your corporate job, because I know that's a problem for some people, to be able to, and especially the fear of, I've got this X amount of money coming in every month. This is supporting my family. I can't make that move. But to have something like that, it's really, and live your dream. Why wouldn't you want to live your dream? Why would you want to work for someone else if you don't want to work for someone else?
Yeah, I think one of the key things you have to get used to is the volatility, and you will have months where you're like, ugh, and you'll have other months where you're like, this is the most incredible thing I've ever done. And that's part of owning your own small business, is you will get that inconsistency in your income. And so it's about setting up a system that supports you through the slower times so you can really amp up when things are getting fast, like around November, December.
Absolutely. And, let me ask you this. Does your course cover, like, you talk about leaving your corporate job, but let's just say now you're replaced your income, your corporate job income with eBay, and you're still working at your corporate job. Do you talk about how not to go into your corporate job with an attitude? Because I think that would be really hard. If I'm already replacing that attitude, that income, it might be a little bit hard to, respect that. Boss. I'm just kidding.
Well, you're talking to someone who can't have a boss.
Yes.
Yeah. Well. Right.
And
that's great.
And that's possible in this day and age, is to not have to be your own boss. I mean, so many people are doing it.
Well, yeah, and I mean, but it takes time, and you have to set up a structure and systems and processes to get you there, and it's not something that happens overnight, like we were talking about. So I've priced the course at $247, which is like way less than it's going to be when I create the full course. But the pilot's $247, and the idea behind that was that I want to teach people who, by the time they've completed the course, which take about 4 weeks, they're already adding $300 a month to their top line revenue. So the course is paid for and then some in the first 4 weeks if they do all the things.
Yeah.
And then it's just about scaling it up from there.
That's really cool because you know what? There's a lot of gurus out there that, price their course and, whatever you want to do. But there's a lot of people that would have priced that course way high, to make that profit. But I love the way you're doing that, because really, if they follow what your steps are, step by step, which is really how it needs to be anyhow, like you said, it's a no-brainer. I mean, it pays for itself. And then you just keep moving on to upscale.
And it is so much fun. And once you get comfortable and you have that income that supports you and you have less of a worry on that side of things, like then you're really amping up your business because then you're spending more time enjoying yourself than worrying about the money that's coming. It's so funny. We did the first 3-4 years of our business with this little coupe, like a little crappy little sport coupe, little car, right? Doing storage lockers, stuffing it to the brim, wrecking it, whatever. And we were able to save up so much money that in 2017, we just walked into a dealership and bought a brand new truck right off the lot in cash and just walked away from it. And we were like, I can't even, we were kind of just going through the process like it was nothing. And then we walked out of it like, that was kind of an amazing accomplishment. And how cool would it be to teach other people to get to that point where it's like, yeah, I need this thing and I'm just going to go get it. I mean, how great would that be?
Absolutely, man, especially in a world where, credit card debt runs rampant, then it's really kind of cool to be able to have that eBay business and grow it to the point where not only are you replacing your income, but you're reducing your debt and living a debt-free life, man. What a kind of cool concept that is.
Yes. So if people are interested in checking out, just getting an idea of what the course is about, what I'm going to be offering through it, hobbysellersbootcamp.com. is where they need to go right now. And so that card will be open for just a few more days. So you definitely want to get in there and check it out before the cart closes. But that's where you can go to find out all the information about the course and get signed up for it.
Love it. Wow, I'm excited. And so we'll put all of that in the show notes and everything. So make sure you go over and check it out because this is something different. This is someone who has the knowledge, the experience, the headaches, the, throwing the computer against the wall a few times because that system won't work. And that's how everyone learns to being passing on this information, and I think it's so powerful and it will help so many people, It's not just one of these courses where you watch and that's it. You're actually going to, if you use the tools, create your own income and then create your own lifestyle that you're actually looking for. I'm excited about it and that's fantastic. Jess, we've run out of time, but thank you so much for coming on today, sharing. I mean, I love hearing about those storage things. They don't have them in Thailand where you get your little spotlight and you have a look. I wish they did. I would be there. I would be addicted to that stuff. But thanks so much for coming and joining us today. We'll post all the notes from today's interview on our show notes page, which can be found at www.soyouwantasellonebay.com/show notes. Jess, before we leave, I know you've got this course happening, but if people wanted to get in contact with you, what's the best way to do that?
hello@storagewarrior.ca.
Nice. Love it.
Wow.
Okay.
Nice and easy.
Yeah, I love it. Storage Warriors. It sounds so great. So thanks once again for joining us, Jess. We've had so much fun from everyone here at So You Want to Sell on eBay. I'm Ali Young.
And I'm Ron LeBeau.
That's all for this episode of So You Want to Sell on eBay. Be sure to check out our next episode or any past episodes by going online to soyouwantasellonebay.com. Also, be sure to follow us on your favorite social media sites, facebook.com/So You Want to Sell on eBay and Twitter @Your eBay Podcast. Thanks for listening. And until next time, happy selling.
Have an idea for a topic or know someone who would like to be on the show? Let us know. Just go to www.soyouwantasellonebay.com/interview. We look forward to hearing from you. This podcast was produced in part by Pro Voice Works.